Hello, friends. Welcome. And I just want to let you know, Bonnie knows nothing about what we're about to talk about. And this is a true friendship. She trusts me.
Now watch, this topic will be so bizarre, I have nothing to say.
I trust me. So I'm Dr. JoNeil. I'm a coach. I'm a nurse. I'm all kinds of things. I'm also a real life human being who sometimes does things that are hurtful and not exactly how I want to live my life. It sounds like this is like these Zooms are like my therapy sessions, but
Hey,
I
that's cheaper than therapy.
yeah. So Bonnie, introduce yourself and we'll
Yeah,
dive right in.
I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum. I'm a clinical psychologist and holistic coach, and have been going through a deep dive lately in a lot of things, communication, relationships, all kinds of stuff. So when she said, "Are you going to trust me?" I'm like, "Oh, well, let's see how this works out."
So if you've been following us along, you've heard us talk about Uncle Arthur, who comes to Thanksgiving dinner and is a little bit crass and makes some comments that don't
Provocative stuff. Yeah.
provocative stuff. Well, I had an episode this past week where I did something that I was not proud. Well, first of all, I'm a good coach because I live all the stuff that I teach.
We're
Just
usually only one or two steps ahead of the people we're coaching
I,
anyway.
I just
That's the
want you
rule.
I
Yeah.
just want you to know that. And so I had a situation where I have a friend who probably now calls me an ex-friend who I've had for years, who she has struggled in her life with childhood things, obesity, can't keep a job, lots of things. And I've always been there. And there have been, I counted them 17 times where she said she would come and meet me and she didn't come.
Oh.
And so when you were talking about that today, was that for me or was that for her kind of a thing? But we'll get to my story and then we can kind of unpack it.
Absolutely.
So, so the past couple of weeks have been really stressful. You go to our last when you hear all those things. But I mean, I tried to be a good quote unquote friend. And wrote me a note and said, are you going to be around Easter Monday, the Monday after Easter? And I said, yes. I have some plans. I can rearrange some things. I can meet with you. She was staying at her brother's house in Flint, which is about an hour and a half from me. I said, I can meet you in Clio, which is 20 minutes from her brother's house. Because my other activity rearranged things. I was meeting in Saginaw, yada, yada, yada. So Easter Monday came. I had my meeting. I got there on the button at 3 o'clock. And in my heart, I knew she wasn't going to show. I just,
Ooh.
so I got myself all worked up. And then Leslie and Kennedy came to meet me because she knows this person. 3:30, 3:45, 4 o'clock. And I said, I'm going home. So I sent a text message that said, I would have liked to have seen you today. Um, Leslie and Kennedy came. I'm going to head on home. And I sent it. Now, let's think about what my mental status was at that point in time. Not good. Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
No.
So
And
later
it's a
that,
text message, which leaves all kinds of room for interpretation.
oh, it gets worse. It
Okay, keep
gets worse.
going.
It gets worse. So that night I said, I voiced me. I called her. I thought, okay, I'll call. Haven't heard from you. Are you alive? Are you okay? What's the what? So then she sends me back later a text message that said, well, I saw you weren't in the area at 2 p.m. and I figured you'd forgotten it. And I thought, I rearranged my day. So no, again, we added another line onto this. And then I said, "Well, did you see me on your location at 3 p.m.?" I mean, I was like pissy. I was just, so did you see me at 3 o'clock that I was at the appointed location? And then she proceeds to tell me that there's some family crisis that's going on and yada, yada, yada. It gets worse.
Okay.
So then I thought I was responding to my daughter's text message.
Oh, don't you hate that?
And I said some things in a text message to what I thought, and it went to this friend about, damn it, I'm tired of waiting on her. She never shows up, blah, 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 blah. F her. Only to find out I'd sent it to that person, which was not a good thing. Let's just go on right. And then she went, this is me. What do you mean? Blah, blah, blah. And then she writes me this missive back about, you only talk about when you want. God forbid somebody should make a mistake and you throw them out the door, blah, blah, blah. So there's all this going
Makes
back.
a mistake 17 times.
It. So that night, I mean to tell you, I felt like the worst friend in the world. I did. My
I hear
nervous
you.
system was
Like,
completely out of whack. And those of you who know me know I deal a lot with the nervous system. And even the next morning, I wrote and I wrote back the next morning because I wallowed and I wrote, there's nothing I can do about what I said last night. I'm sorry. I will have the difficult conversation if you will. Nothing. Nothing in
well, no,
response.
because she doesn't want to do that.
So I felt terrible. And then I said, and I journaled, I wrote my thoughts and my feelings. And yet, yes, the mistake was writing it in the wrong text message. So friends, watch that. But then again, my daughter, the wealth of knowledge said, Mom, you've been wanting to end that friendship for years. You just did it in a really crappy way.
Mhm.
So I guess so the end of the story is I did get to this place, and when I was listening to you this morning, it really resonated with me that, I had tolerated this behavior for a long time. Do I want this person to be successful? Do I want her to be happy? Do I want her to have a job? All of that. At 55 years of age, none of that stuff has happened, and I have to release myself from the rest. You know me, I'm a rescuer. But let's get back to I said something terrible. I shouldn't have said it. It was in a text message, all the things. I was Uncle Albert.
Well, and so you said to me today, hang on to that piece
I did.
because so let me just put a little context on it.
Yeah.
The book is Taking the War Out of Our Words, The Art of Powerful Non-Defensive Communication by Sharon Ellison. And this chapter is entitled Surrender. And basically, what she's saying is we have three categories of response that we can have to anything that pops into our life. We can
Hmm.
fight, we can flee, we can freeze. Surrender is a variation of freeze.
Yeah.
And so there's two different kinds of surrender. There's a passive kind of surrender and there's an active kind of surrender. So today we were talking about the passive kind of surrender, which is
Mm.
called surrender betray, codependent personality type.
Yeah.
So the little section that you tagged me on was surrendering out of guilt. Even in situations that do not threaten us with some drastic loss, we may still surrender completely. We may surrender to rude treatment when we feel guilty about our own behavior or take too much responsibility for someone else. Yep.
Yes. That was
So
where I
then,
was.
so yeah, so then she gives an example. If our young son, for example, might speak harshly to us, when we ask the child to speak in a more respectful tone, he may blame us for his behavior, saying, it's your fault. I'm hungry. You haven't fed me lunch. We may look at the clock, see that it is past lunchtime, and take all the blame for our child's mood. You're right. You must be hungry. It's almost 12:30. I'll fix your lunch right away. In this case, we have surrendered to the boy and taken all responsibility for his abusive behavior. We may also apologize to a parent who is treating us disrespectfully or make excuses for mistreatment by our spouse because of guilt about our own past behavior. In each case, we voluntarily give up our right to be treated with kindness.
Yes. Yes. And
Yes.
yes.
And one of the things that she said in here that I thought was so profound, and so now I'm doing a deep dive on that myself, is most of the time when we do these things, the fight, flee, surrender, or the fight, flee, which one am I missing? Freeze. Yeah,
Freeze.
surrender. Duh. Um, we're not even aware we're doing it. We're not even aware we're doing it.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the road, we may go, what happened there? But here we are up to our neck in it
Yeah.
before we realize.
Yeah. Yeah. And first thing is be careful who you're texting to. Second of
But
all, I guess go ahead.
bigger piece there was 17 times she's no-showed on you, and you were willing to drive an hour and a half and rearrange your schedule, dear.
I know.
Holy
I know.
cow.
Yes. Yes. Well, let's get back to my rescuing piece. And I think that's part of this whole conversation that, you know, if I'm a good enough person, I can fix her. I can help her. I can be there whenever she calls, whenever she needs, all those things. And
Yes.
the other piece is that those of you who are know my life, a few years ago, this organization that we belonged to fell apart. And she ended up like halfway between myself and another friend kind of play this thing. Well, that doesn't work. You pick a side and stick with it, kind of a
Yep.
thing. And so some of this comment she made with me is like, I'm not like that one that you threw out, kind of. It's all those things. So then
Mhm.
my reaction was, I think what I had to really work through. And I think that's, I had to take her out of the equation.
Yes. This is opportunity. This
It-
is such a good opportunity.
yeah, you
So what'd
know,
you learn? What'd you learn?
I learned that my time is valuable. Who I am matters.
Mhm.
I'm happy to have friendships, and I'm not saying that friends always have to be 50-50. There are times that
No.
friendships go out of balance, but this
Right.
one in particular was based on a non-existent relationship, I
If
think.
if we looked at balance, if this were a tire, it'd be going wookity 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 wookity.
Yeah. And not that I'm a saint. That I guess that's the point. Not that I'm a saint and I'm going to do and go and all that sort of thing, but there comes a point where you go, what's in it for me, and you don't always want, but
But
it just
and why am I doing this?
that's the
Why am
point.
I doing this?
Yeah.
And it might be to feel good about yourself. It might be that betrayal piece. You are holy hell betraying yourself. So that pattern develops where we shoot ourselves in the foot. We shoot ourselves in the foot. There's that story. Do you remember that story? And when I first read this, I thought, oh my God, that's me. I'm walking down the street. There's a hole in the street and I fall in.
Hmm.
Then I'm walking down the street. I know there's a hole in the street. I try to go around. I fall in.
Hmm.
On and on and on. Eventually, it's I walk down a different street.
Yeah, and I don't know what that, again, that deep programming that says, you have to help, you have to be, and I don't know if this was my mother's programming running. I don't know where that programming came from, where I had to give on to my detriment to the point where, and I hate to sound terrible. I mean, listen to me, I'm already explaining
Yes,
myself.
you are.
I was.
Quit hedging your bets.
Yes, just go for it. Well,
Yes.
I wasn't getting anything in return.
Or were you?
Well,
What
yeah.
what were you getting? Because you wouldn't
Oh,
maintain 17 rounds of getting stiffed if
um,
there weren't a payoff.
the payoff was I'm the better person. Look at me. I'm the more righteous. I tolerate this.
I'm healthier because I show up when I say I'm going to show up.
I want to be the one that can make it better for her, kind of a thing. And I know in my rational mind that not a dang thing's going to happen until she wakes up one morning and says, F this crap. I got to do something about it.
Yeah. Well, and
But
here's the important thing about all of that. I go back to that brilliant statement from Albert Einstein that our mind was meant to be the faithful servant to our heart and soul.
oh,
We
okay.
are never going to logic our way out of that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Ever, ever,
Yeah.
ever, ever. We have to heal the wounds that are leading to that behavior in the first place.
100%. 100%.
Mhm.
And how that relates to Uncle Albert, I think, I want to bring this all back is that if Uncle Albert continues to do and say and all the kinds of things that we've talked about, you can acknowledge Uncle Albert, but you're never going to change or fix Uncle Albert.
No, and he's a gift. He is a gift because if he can crank you up like nobody's business every flippin' holiday, something is unhealed in you.
Yes.
It's calling you to do your work. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us are like, "Ooh, that emotional
Oh,
healing stuff, bleh,
yeah.
not doing that."
Yeah.
But here's what happens if you don't.
Oh, yeah. Well, this morning I actually had a quantum time release, which is a way of anger, shame, guilt, all those kind of things, and looking at the origins of those that usually happen, 0 to 6, kind of that
Little,
imprint,
little, little.
those
Yep.
imprint sort of things. And I did it with this in mind, figuring out what happened that I had this guilt or this shame or this fear, this anger, and it was very enlightening. It's like, okay, I can see the pattern. I can see that now.
Hmm.
Um, and what was interesting is that, so I have a couple other friends. Not that I was trying to collude, but I made a post about my nervous system was out of whack. I didn't name names. I didn't say anything. I just said, my nervous system again. I had three people go, "What happened to you? What happened to you?" And I said, "Well, there was an issue with." They go, "I gave up on here years ago," and I'm thinking, "Oh Lord." So again, I do not wish this person ill at all.
No, and what gets useful as you've done the healing piece is when you've cut the cord and they can no longer light you up like a Christmas tree, you actually can begin to have some compassion for them. Oh, Uncle Albert, everybody when he walks in the door stiffens up. It
Yes.
must suck to be him.
Yeah.
It must suck to be him.
Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of what I wanted to talk about today and tying it into that. If you want to talk a little bit more about the War of the Words, take our War out of the Words, that book, and friends, Bonnie has, I'm going to tell her the word again, a playlist
Thank you.
about this book because she's done a much deeper dive than I have. I have the book
The
and we've been
the whole book. So every morning I show up on
Mhm.
Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, um, various platforms,
Yeah.
and there was a period of time where it was 55 episodes,
Wow. Oh,
55
how many?
different days, and they weren't all consecutive.
Right.
Sometimes other things popped in, but we went over the entire book. So if you would like to see
Hmm.
those, um, it's on my YouTube, which is Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum Empowerment Coaching, and it's under playlists.
The
Learn these
reason
new words.
The reason I'm saying this, she's on her live this morning. I'm in my pajamas in my bathroom and she's trying to think of a word. And I'm telling you, it's called a playlist.
Yep, and then it popped up, and I'm like, "Thank you." And then to tell you how untechy I am, someone asked me about that on Facebook, and I'm like, "Well,
Oh,
where's that response? You were on YouTube." Duh, Bonnie.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was. I was.
it's just not my skill set. I have other skills. Tech is not
Absolutely.
not necessarily one of them.
For sure.
So, but I feel like it's time to do a rehash on
Yeah.
these pieces because again, it's subconscious. And right now there is so much
Oh,
vitriol and
yeah.
negativity and crap and us versus them and all this yucky stuff.
Yeah.
We must clear up our language. We
Yeah.
must clear up our language. And that doesn't mean swear words. Some of those are really useful. We got to hang on to those. But when we start diving into the us versus them kind of commentary, hopefully we go, whoop, time to
Hmm.
take a look at this. Time
Well,
to, we are all one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I had the I'm battling cancer conference. Somebody said those words. I go, let's reframe that. Let's
Hmm.
reframe this.
This is
We're-
my walk with
I
cancer. I
said
am
walk.
learning what I need to learn
Yeah.
from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember though, 35 years ago when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, it's like you have to imagine Pac-Man and you have to be at this and you're going to get this and all that. And think about, I think now what my nervous system must have been going through
Mhm.
at the time.
Yeah.
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 Luckily I did fine, but I really have made a conscious effort to catch myself when I say it. I haven't been
Yeah.
able to stop myself, but
It's all in our language though. We talk about triggering this, we go to battle with that, there's war on this, it's in our language all over
yeah.
the place. I'm going to shoot for that. You know,
Hmm.
it takes effort. And the best way to catch yourself is tell somebody else what you want them to catch you doing.
Yeah.
They'll nail it every single time. You won't catch it, but they will.
Exactly. So now are you doing this every day for the next 7 days on your lives or tell our
It's morphing as we go. If I get a strong feeling that there's something else we need to do on a particular day, I will
okay.
do that. But otherwise, it probably will be the next however many days. Because some of this stuff, the next one we're talking about, just to pique your curiosity, is surrender sabotage, a
Yeah.
passive aggressive personality type. And if you want to drive people crazy, be passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Sure,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine with me. Mm.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I don't know if any people caught me saying I didn't want to have a collusion because that's another thing that we do is we try to get people on our sides and
We bolster our
yeah.
argument. No,
Yeah.
if we're solid enough in our own beliefs, we don't need anybody else's opinion.
No, no, no. But again, for me, it was painful that I did that hurtful thing. I guess that was the thing. I wouldn't have done that on purpose. And like my dearly beloved said you're sorry. That's all you can do right now. And you offered to have and I used it. I said a difficult conversation. I'm willing to do
Mhm.
that. So, I did. And once I got to the place where I had done all I could do, I had to release it and
Yes. Yes.
actively
And
release it.
and really truly, this is a gift. This
Yeah.
is a gift
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
gave you the opportunity to break this tie, cut this cord. There may be other cords around this that'll need
Yeah.
cutting, but it lays groundwork for. So now here's my challenge. You know,
Okay.
the coach just
Of
pops out.
course. Of course.
Where else are
Ah,
there things that you are
yeah.
tolerating that it would be best for you to have the difficult conversation? Hey, I have something I need to talk to you about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've had my dearly beloved and I have done that for the last couple months, and that's been a learn. That's again, go back to one of our previous videos.
Yes.
But having that safety, I guess,
Yes.
that feeling of safety.
And to have a person in your life or people in your life, like my coffee groups like that, if
Yeah.
something were to run amok between us, we would be face to face or like this
Yeah.
having the conversation. We're not going to let
Yeah.
that stuff go.
For
That
sure.
is those are the best folks we have in our lives. The ones who will say, "Hey, I'm mad at you and I need to talk to you about it."
For sure.
Fabulous.
And I look back at the handful of people that I can do that with. It's a handful.
Yes.
It's not a lot.
Agreed. We're not taught how to do it. We're not
No,
taught how to do it well.
no. And
You're
and
such
all
a jerk.
and oftentimes we put up this, well, it was them, not me, and they did, and I did. And we don't, again, in this instance, I had to accept the responsibility for my actions. They were mine alone, and I did.
Yes. Here's my contribution to the mess we're in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's nothing I can do I can't rewind time as much as I'd like to. I don't have the Harry Potter, when Hermione had the little
Yes.
time
Yes.
changer. And so, there's so many emotions that go through you when that happens. And that deregulation of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, all of those
Yep. Yep.
deregulations. And because I practice that, there's a couple, like push really hard on your hands and push, push, push to try to get the regulation, the deep
Yes.
breathing, the journaling.
Breathing.
Yeah, and that's where I think you and I offer tools to folks. We don't
Absolutely.
we don't just say, "Oh, get over it
No.
now."
And again, you're not going to logic your way out of this. This
Mm-mm.
needs to be a physiological, emotional, spiritual adjustment.
Yeah, yeah. And somatic. It really has to be the whole, accepting of it because I don't want to feel that way.
No, and you don't want to go back into it. There are people who
That
they
way.
get to where you're at right now, and then they sell themselves out in some way, and they're right back in the muck,
Yeah.
right back in the muck.
Yeah. And going back to Uncle Albert, we need to keep going back to him because this is where I knew what I was going to say to Bonnie. I go, Bonnie, do you trust me to do this? She goes, I'm okay. Yeah, okay, go, you go, girl. But Uncle Albert is somebody that you are going to see again. The holidays are going to come and all of that. And I guess for me, if I were in the presence of this individual, I would just look at it differently. I would look at it like that's her. This is me. I don't have to. I don't
I
have.
wouldn't I wouldn't make those choices, but she's choosing to make those choices, and it's not my place to judge that.
Yeah. And Uncle Albert, God bless you. You're gonna say, bless your heart.
Yeah, whatever rude thing you're gonna say. I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
right now I am rereading To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh,
It is classic, this stuff.
really?
Yes, teaching the 9-year-old girl how when something goes to hell, you put on the face, you
Oh,
pick up
yeah.
the tray, and you go and you serve.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Wow. Now, I'm actually based on what I'm reading the Sophia Code right now.
Ah,
I've
yes.
been
Yes.
listening to that one kind
Oh,
of, I
it
mean,
is so
actually.
good. It is so
And
good.
and that's I think another thing for our readers is you and I should probably compile a book list or a reading list of some sort because we're forever grabbing something. And speaking
Mhm.
of books, my book will be
Yes,
coming
plug
out.
it.
Will be coming out. May 6th is the day we're shooting for.
That's my birthday.
There you go.
That's an auspicious day. There
It
we go.
is. And it's called The Biology of Bullying. And I've been a registered nurse for almost 50 years and have watched the profession eat each other. And everybody says, well, why? I actually did my doctoral dissertation on it, and I didn't ever figure out why, but I coll-
What do you do about it?
yeah,
Right.
we didn't have what. So I spent the last 15 years actually creating tools and testing tools and having things and living situations with myself where it happened. And then it came the moment in time when the good Lord said, now, right. So I wrote, and it basically talks about that fight, flight, freeze, the same things that you were just talking
Hmm.
about how our system is always scanning for danger, the
Right.
neuroception.
Right.
And the when nothing's when it doesn't pick anything up, it's like I always say, it's like the OB department ever a fabulous delivery, everything's fine, Brahms lullabies playing, all the thing. But then when you do sense danger, and you can sense it in all different ways, and we all have different ways of reacting, the fight kind of the piece of it,
Hmm.
and it might be verbal, it might be emotional, it might be all these kind of things, but I call that the emergency room on a full moon. It's just chaotic, and you really,
Yes.
and here's the piece of it, you can't make good decisions while you're in that, because
No,
the
you're
part
hijacked.
the part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, where logic resides and good decisions are made, is right here. And because you're offline, it's, the hijack's back here, you're offline. So when
Yeah.
you're in that state, and part going back to the other situation, I wanted to pick the phone back up and say, listen, we're going to have this conversation. Do you hear me? I don't want to feel this way. We're going to have a talk it out. And I went, no, can you
No.
just, because I was in that. And then
Hmm.
the other one is that when you're so exhausted, you got nothing left, is that
Hmm.
freeze. And I say
Yep.
that's like the morgue. You had enough. You've had enough, kind of a thing. And so
There's no reaction. My father has a statement about that. You get more out of a dead sow if you kick it in the ass.
oh, I love your dad. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It
So
is, but it's that unresponsive. You've fried out the system so badly,
yeah,
there's no response left.
yeah. There is another one that is coming more into the popular literature, the fawning or the appeasing part of it, which I didn't include because there's not as much out there on that as there is on the fight, flight, freeze.
And there's a classic fawner. Voldemort's sidekick, Peter Pettigrew,
Yes.
Wormtail,
Yeah.
he is a classic fawner.
Okay. Well, the fodder could,
Classic.
as I would think, it would also be that rescuer in me. Yeah, exactly. So the
Yep.
book is written for nurses with some tools and strategies and tips, and
But
it
it's
really,
good for
I
everybody.
was
It's
just going to
good.
say it
Yes.
applies to everybody. So when we have the link, we'll certainly include it in our message. But again, that was one way for me to sort of put my get. I want to save the world, but I can't. I can only offer what I can, and so
Right,
I just
exactly. And then people can decide what they're willing to take and not take.
it's
And oftentimes, with that kind of material, you might need to go through it a couple of times to get it to resonate because you're breaking up old patterns
yeah.
and it takes some effort because your
Yeah.
system's going to want to retain them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I always have another book on the plate, because how do leaders deal with that behavior? Because that I think is one of the missing pieces in
Right.
in
You
healthcare and
cannot
in
allow that kind of behavior to be happening in your team or,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
not good.
So let me put this together, and then I'll let Bonnie say whether or not it was okay or not. But for me, I wanted to have this conversation to share that Bonnie and I are both people.
Hmm.
We have
We
things
screw
that are
stuff up well,
screw stuff up,
also. Yep.
and also bringing it to our common ground conversations where sometimes things are not okay with that person, and they're going to be there, and there are some people you can say, I've caught, we're done, all that, or there are people that you're going to see that you have to figure out, okay, I can be in the same room with this person. I've got to get my neural system in place because they're going to act the way they're going to act, and there's not a dang thing I can do about it.
Hmm.
And also, I guess for me, it was having the grace to admit I had done something wrong, did everything I could do, and then it was out of my hands, and I had to let it go.
Yep.
So,
I think for me the most important piece is that understanding that you are not going to think your way out of this stuff.
yeah,
And so sometimes it can be coaching with someone who's outside of your system. A lot of times we'll rely on a sibling, we'll rely on a cousin, we'll rely
yeah,
someone who's still wedded to the system. That
yes,
typically doesn't work well. So, oh, I also got to tell you,
Your birthday.
yes, I have a birthday special going on right now on my coaching 3 session package and 8 session package. They're discounted until May 6th at midnight. So if you're interested, we can slip the
Links
link for
in.
that in here as well.
Yeah.
But again, it must be more tools than just talk therapy. It's not going to get you where you want to go.
Correct. Correct. And that was what I did this morning. I did really a deep dive into the all of that. And
Yeah.
those strategies and those tools are out there. Coaches are there, all all of
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
And the one of the most important things about a coach is they will say to you, "Well, did you use your tools?" And the hardest thing to remember to do is when you're in the soup to use your tools.
Yes. Even if
So,
it's
yeah.
just breathing or
Hmm.
tapping, or those two
Hmm.
things are the ones that can kind of break that cycle. All right.
Yes.
So was it okay?
Ab- was it okay?
I thought it was.
Yes. Fabulous.
Yes.
And
So,
and we know that this chimes for everybody because we're
mhm.
human. Because we're human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you follow us. We do this every couple weeks, depending on life. Bonnie's got a new grandbaby. I got life going on, all those kind of things. But we really want to be able to share some of our own gifts with you and our own struggles
Yeah.
and how we did it.
Right. And we think, oh, this would be really helpful for people to know about. And
Yeah.
so here we are. Here
And
we
here
are.
we are. All
Yeah.
right. So we'll see you in a couple weeks, friends.
If you have questions, holler.
Yep. Bye.